We're diving into mindful journeys today. Seems like everyone's looking for a little more peace these days. So let's unpack this whole mindfulness thing and why this podcast in particular caught your eye.
Yeah, it's interesting. This podcast, it's like it speaks to this kind of universal need for calm. Like our world is, well, it's a lot, right? And people are looking for ways to, just find some peace.
Absolutely. And from what I'm gathering, mindful journeys seems to be all about like practical tools,
Yeah.
not just some vague ideas about feeling good. They actually give you things to try.
Right. And they don't sugarcoat it either. They acknowledge that life can be pretty hectic. Speaking of which, one of the episodes you highlighted was all about that, the power of mindfulness in everyday life.
Yeah. That one really stuck out to me too. So how do they make mindfulness like actually doable? Because it's easy to say be more present, but how do you actually do that with like a to-do list a mile long?
Well, one thing they talk about is finding those, what do they call them, those breathing anchors. Like you're stressed at work, deadlines, emails, whatever, you take a few seconds, just focus on your breath, brings you right back to the moment.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Actionable stuff. And it doesn't have to be this big meditation ordeal. Okay, another one that caught my eye was self-care for busy people. Because let's be real, who actually has time for a 3-hour spa day?
Right. And they get that. They actually suggest thinking smaller. Instead of these big self-care events, it's about finding those small moments throughout the day, like actually savoring your morning coffee instead of, scrolling through your phone.
Ooh, I like that. Stealing those little moments for yourself. Okay, but the episode title that really got me thinking was Breaking the Cycle of Negative Thoughts. Because, come on, we all have that inner voice that can be a bit of a downer sometimes.
Oh, tell me about it. In this episode, they really dig into something called cognitive reframing, which is basically about challenging those negative thoughts, those thought patterns that aren't doing us any favors, and replacing them with, well, more helpful ones.
So it's like giving yourself a pep talk.
Kind of. Like, let's say you're about to give a big presentation and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to mess this up. Instead, you reframe it to, okay, I prepared for this and I'm going to do my best.
I love that. It's not about being delusional. It's about being, more supportive of yourself. So it seems like Mindful Journeys is going beyond just the ideas. They're giving you the tools and strategies to make actual changes.
Exactly. They don't just tell you to meditate. They, walk you through it. Or they have an expert on who can explain the science behind it.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned they bring in a lot of experts. That's always a good sign. Adds credibility.
Yeah, and also different perspectives, right? Like, it's not just one person's take on mindfulness.
Right. And then there's that whole Q&A section, which I know you really like.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. It makes it feel so personal, they're talking directly to you, answering your questions.
Yeah. It's like having a mindfulness coach right in your pocket. So as we wrap up our little deep dive here, what's your biggest takeaway from Mindful Journeys? What really resonated with you?
Honestly, it's that focus on tangible strategies.
Yeah.
They don't just talk about mindfulness. They give you tools to actually use it in your life, like today.
I couldn't agree more. And for anyone listening, start with whatever episode speaks to you most, whether it's about managing stress, taking care of yourself, or quieting those negative thoughts. There's something in there for everyone. Who knows? This Mindful Journeys podcast might just be your roadmap to a happier, healthier you.